Hey everyone, and welcome to math. Today we are going through lesson 7. So you're going to be turning in your book to page 333. On page 333, we are focusing on multiplying by 10. We continue to talk about the importance of patterns when learning multiplication and division. So today when we think about multiplying by 10, I want you to consider all the patterns that you see as we go through the multiples of 10. So, Math in My World, it says Orlando found 8 dimes. If you're not familiar, a dime is 10 cents. So, he found 8 pieces that are worth 10 cents. How much money did he find? So, the first thing we want to focus on is what are they asking us? So, we know that he has 8 10 cents. And then they're asking how much money does he have? And this is a total. So they want to know how much he has in total. A dime equals 10 cents. Count by tens 8 times. So 8 times 10. And when we think 8 times 10, we're just thinking of the addition sentence or skip counting by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So 8 dimes is 80 cents. So 8 times 10 equals 80 cents. So Orlando found 80 cents. Notice the patterns in the products. 1 times 10 equals 10. The ones digit is a 0. 2 times 10 is a 0 as well in the ones digit. But then when you look at the factor, 2 or 1 times, that's going to be in the tens place. So when you look at your factors, the factors are going right over into the tens place, and the ones place is always a 0. So extend that pattern then. So when we think about the pattern, we know that we're taking our factor and we're bringing it right over into our product. So 3 times 10, the 3 goes in the tens place, and then we just add a 0. 4 goes in the tens place, we add a 0. 5 times 10, the 5 goes in the tens place, we add a 0. Same thing, times 10, 60. 7 times 10, 7, 0, 70. 8 times 10, 8, 0, 80. A helpful hint, when you multiply by 10, the product will always end in 0. So when we think about the pattern of tens, it always ends with a 0, as you can see. Wow, that's not an arrow. There's an arrow. That's not a knife. You guys wouldn't know that reference. Maybe your parents would. So here we go. We're moving on. Page 334. We're going to be looking at the top, example 2. Example 2, Andrew saw footprints on the beach. He counted 10 toes on each of 3 sets of footprints. So each tells us multiply. How many toes? So they're asking how many total toes did Andrew count? So how many total toes did he count? Write a multiplication sentence with a symbol for the unknown. So a multiplication sentence, 3 times 10, 3 sets of 10 equals an unknown. And remember, we're using here a square to represent the product or the unknown. Skip count on a number line. Count 3 equal jumps of 10. So he counted 10 toes, 20 toes, 30 toes. So the number line shows that 3 times 10 equals 30. The unknown was 30. So Andrew counted 30 toes. And that brings us to how can knowing the fives fact help you with your tens? So let's take a look at our fives. What do you see as a relation between 5 and 10? The facts of 10. If you take notice, every other fact is the fact for the tens. So every other fact is the fact for the tens. So we're just trying to notice patterns between multiplication facts as we go through. Here we go. Hey, Crab. Guided practice. So let's go through this as a guided practice. I'm going to be asking questions. I'm looking for you to answer, and then I'll verify your answer by doing it myself. So 5 times 10 equals, say it, 50. And how many tens would you have? 5. So 2 times 10 equals 20. How many tens would you have? 2. 7 times 10 equals 70. How many tens would you have? 7. 1 times 10 equals? How many tens would you have? 1. Complete the pattern. 10, 20, count with me, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Thanks for counting with me, or not. Thanks for counting with me in your head while you did it on the paper. Maybe. Might be weird to talk to a TV. I don't know. Maybe you're not weird talking to a TV. Do you ever talk to your game when you're playing a game? I do. Independent practice, guys. So for your independent practice, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and do your independent practice and then come back to the video to check your work. But before you do that, let's take a look at the homework options because we're not going to do all the problems here. The top part is your homework helper. I'm going to ask that you guys do the odd numbers on this first page, 1 and 3. And then let's take a look at the next page. So 1 and 3 so far. Here you're going to use the number line to figure out which ones are missing. So what's the unknown? So we're going to do number 5. The unknown is what? Number 7. The unknown is what? And then you can cross that out. Brings us down to, whoops, I gotta delete that. For exercises 8 and 9, okay, so number 9, we're looking at 3 times, which is each 10 yards. How many yards did he run together? So don't forget, word answer. After you put your number, put a word. And then finally, number 11. So all the odd problems are what we are doing here. So you're doing 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 on your homework. And now you can pause this video and work on your classwork, which is your independent practice. I don't want to confuse you. For homework, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. And now you're going to work on your classwork, which is the independent practice. And when you're finished your independent practice, come back to this page or to this video to see how you did on your independent practice. Check your work. So I'm going to go through every problem. If there's one that you were struggling with, this video will help you through it. So let's go. Pause it. And welcome back. 4 times 10, 40, which is 10 4 times, which is, again, 40. 6 times 10, 60, which is 10 6 times, which is 60. 3 times 10 is 30, which is 10 3 times, which is 30. 5 times 10 is 50, which is 10 5 times. That brings us to the algebra portion of today's lesson, using the number line and seeing that we have an unknown. So algebra being the unknown and trying to solve for the unknown. Something times 6 equals 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 tens is 60. So 6 tens is 60. How about 10 times what equals 10? 1. 1. 9 times 10 equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 tens is 90. Multiply 10 times 2, 20. 10 times 6, 60. 10 times 5, 50. So here, it's the first time we're really looking at stacking our math. There was a page on when we were looking at multiplying by 2 that talked about stacking. Here's the stacking. So the way that this would work, you understand that 10 times 3 is 30, but and when you stack your numbers, you can look at it like this. We have 3 times 0 is 0, and 3 times 1 is 3, which is 30. So even though you know that fact, you can still break that fact down into parts as we multiply. So that's just a way that we can start to see how we're going to do multiplication when we get to bigger numbers. 9 times 10, 90. 10 times 1, 10. Use the commutative property to find each product. I'm going to scroll down because it needs to be seen for the rest of it. Just like in the guided practice, we're finding and matching. 8 times 10 equals 80. Find the one that matches. 10 times 5 is 50. Find the one that matches. And then 6 times 10 is 60. Find the one that matches. Go on to the back of your independent practice. Remember, you should have done these problems first before watching this video so that you're checking your work. Some of the world's largest sculptures are found in the United States. Use the clues in exercises 22 to 25 to find the length of each sculpture. So we have sculptures table. The sculpture name is listed for us and the length of the sculpture. We don't know all of the lengths yet. Those are the unknowns. So Fiori di Como is 5 less than 7 times 10. So this is like a two-step problem. We have to say 7 times 10, and that's going to be this part. 7 times 10 is 75. Now it says 5 less than 7 times 10. So 75 minus 5. 75 minus 5 is 70. And then you see it's in feet. So we have 70 feet. Chihuly Tower, 5 more than 10 times 5. So we start with 10 times 5 equals 50. Then we're giving 5 more plus 5 equals 55 feet. Cobalt blue chandelier, 9 more than 2 times 10. So we have 2 times 10 equals 20 plus 9, because 9 more than 20. 9 more than 20 is 29 feet. Then we have river blue, which is 4 more than 10 times 1. 10 times 1 equals 10, plus 4 equals 14 feet. Check your work. There are 5 giraffes and 10 birds. How many legs are there altogether? So the first thing we need to do is think a giraffe. A giraffe has 4 legs, so 5 times 4. Then there's 10 birds. Birds have 2 legs, so it's 10 times 2. So you have 5 times 4 is 20. 10 times 2 is 20. How many legs are there altogether? That means we're adding. 20 plus 20 equals 40. And don't forget, when you're doing this, there's 40 legs. So word answer for word problems. The hot problem, explain how you know that multiplication sentence with a word product, with a product of 25 cannot be a tens fact. So how do you know that 25 is not a tens fact? Tens facts are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So how do you know that 25 is not part of that? What do you notice about it? Hopefully you said 25 does not end with a 0. And since 25 does not end with a 0, it can't be a fact of 10. How can I use patterns to multiply numbers by 10? Tens always end with 0. So the pattern of tens is it always ends in a 0. The factor that you're multiplying by always goes in the ones place. So 2 times 10, the 2 goes to the tens place. So hopefully I said that correctly the first time. So you have two ways. 10 always ends with 0, or the factor always goes in the tens place once you multiply. So now you're going to be working on your homework independently. And if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to ask me at any time. So thanks so much for working with me today, and I appreciate all that you guys are doing at home to keep up with your work, and make sure that you ask questions when needed. Palm it.